Hey, today I'm going to do a review of the FN 509 Tactical. This gun was kind of brought about indirectly through the U.S. Army trials when they put out requests for new modular handguns. I'm not going to get into all that. There were several companies that did it. The main thing that came out of that is we, the consumers, got a whole new variety of guns that we get to choose from now. But without getting into all that, let's zoom down here and take a look at this gun. Now, the FN 509 Tactical. It's a pretty nice gun. FN's been in the game for a while, where they come out with a model of their gun called Tactical. Basically what that means is you get suppressor height sights, you get a threaded barrel. This one does have a threaded barrel. I've got a compensator on the end of it. This is the Pmm Compensator primary machine. It's a single port compensator. It works pretty good for a single port compensator, and it has fins built into the side of it that kind of line up with the slide. Another thing the tactical models of the FNs have is a cut here on top to mount red dot optics. This one is a little bit different from just about any other manufacturer. This one has your standard mill cut in the slide, but it also has a little piece up front here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a little piece up front. These are what match up to your individual optics. There's a little O-ring that's up underneath the front cut, and that O-ring places pressure upwards on the front of the optic, which eliminates the need, supposedly, for Loctite on your screws back here. All right. I'm going to take it out and shoot it and see what this gun's all about. I've put 100 rounds through it so far, but I hadn't really got a good feel for the gun yet. But I'm going to take it out tonight and shoot it and come back and give you a review. But there are some things on the gun that I have changed. First and foremost was the trigger. The trigger on the factory 509 Tactical, to be such a well-made gun with so many good parts about it, the trigger was absolutely horrendous. It was terrible. I put a trigger pull gauge on it and it broke just shy of 8 pounds. I think it was about 7.5, 7.75 pounds is what the trigger broke. It was gritty. The reviews that you've seen online about the trigger being bad, they're not wrong. It was bad. So I put an Apex Tactical trigger in it, and it took it down to about 4.5 pounds. As a matter of fact, gun's empty. Let's do a trigger pull weight on it and see what the trigger pull came to. Like I said, from the factory, this thing was breaking just shy of 8 pounds, which is not good for any factory gun of this size, but it's especially bad for a gun of this price point. This is supposed to be their premier model of their 509. So let's break a shot and see. This one's kind of hard to get. That one came in at 3 pounds 4 ounces. Let's do another one and see. 3 pounds 10 ounces. So you can hear my dogs in the background. Somebody must be pulling up, but it made a world of difference in the trigger. The take up is still about the same. It's not much difference, but the break itself is nice and short and crisp. And let's show you what the reset looks like. The reset is nice and short and crisp. You're right back on that wall, and then the trigger breaks. It's a really nice trigger. Apex did a good job with this. I'm running Enforce Light for at home. I'm not going to run this at the range. It won't fit in the holster I made for it. Of course, like I said, I've got the Pmm Comp on it. It's a single port comp. And I've got the Trijicon RMR. This is a 6.5 MOA. I did put some Talon grips on it. I'm thinking about stippling it because there's just not enough traction with the standard grip texture that it has. It looks aggressive, but it's not really aggressive. I'll let you know after the range footage or the range session, and I'll let you know what I think about it and if I plan on doing anything else with it. So stand by and watch some of this range footage. Today I'm gonna do a video on the FN 509 Tactical. This one does have a Pmm comp on it and a Trijicon RMR. So I've only got 3 mags right now for it, so I'm just going to do a 5x5 with my 3 mags. So try to keep the time under 15 seconds with reloads. $13.25 is my total time. Got to get used to this red dot again. Let's see. Ran those clean. Don't know what happened with that one. I think that's 2. That's 2 right there. So I got 1 line cutter. So $13.25. Probably speed that up a little bit. Let's try it out. Clean run. 10.99. So 10.99 seconds with mag changes. You can see clean run, clean run, clean run, and that was that one that I threw out on the first go around. So not bad. I like this little gun. The Pmm comp helps it, but it's not like the KKM comp that I have. This is a single port comp. If you can see, no ports except on the very top. So it does help, but not like the KKM. All right, now I'm going to do the Bear Solutions drill, the 10 and 3 drill. Let's see how it goes with this 509. I will have to get used to the red dot again for the smaller circle. I'll have to hold up just a little bit. I was going pretty good till I got to that mag change. That mag change just threw everything off. Let's see here. Pretty good group here. You can see I'm starting to transition over on my last shot. And I've got my group here, which is really tight. And then I threw one a little bit low. Remember, it's kind of like a rifle. You have holdover. So you have to adjust that when you're shooting a red dot at closer ranges. So I'm gonna try it one more time. See if we can't speed that time up a little bit. There we go. That was a pretty decent one. 6.59, not terrible. Let's see how this one went. You see my groups are nice and tight. Had a good transition over to here. That one was already there. And I got my 3 right in here. So I got my holdover set on that one. So that one was pretty good. Pmm Comp, if you just shot it before you shot the gun without it, you wouldn't notice a lot. But once that I've shot them back to back with and without it, it's a pretty good difference. Hey, on this one, I'm going to do some slow-mo footage to try to see if y'all can watch the muzzle of the gun. Watch how it recoils. Watch how the slide comes back and goes forward during recoil. It won't be as obvious as the KKM comp that I had because that's a 4-port comp. This one's only a single port comp, but you're still probably going to notice some recoil reduction. So pay attention to that when I'm doing the shots this time. That's hot. Some steam coming off of it. I don't know if you can tell or not. That's hot. Let's go down here, look at the target. I was just playing around with it. See what it did. Size of my hand. Actually smaller than my hand. That's pretty small, ain't it? So that's rapid fire. Controls recoil pretty good. I'm gonna step back a little bit, see if I can do a little more accuracy work with it. See what it does. Not bad. A couple more on it. Dang, they're too hot to shoot. Slide stop gets hot. Not bad. I noticed it's blowing some carbon up on my the lens of my RMR. It's not bad. It's 9 rounds. 9 rounds, about an inch, center to center, or edge to edge, inner edge to outer edge, about an inch. It shoots pretty good. Show you how fast this thing will go through a box of ammo. Like I said before, it's dang near too hot for me to shoot because this slide stop right here is hot. So. $50 rounds. Now I know you can see it smoking. I'm gonna tell you, this thing gets almost unbearably hot. That's one con to it. I've never had a Glock get as hot as this does. Where I lay my thumb, whew, thing is hot. One good thing is the trigger is not transferring heat, but boy, that slide stop right there is. That slide stop is transferring some nasty heat. So, but that was a lot of rounds through it in a pretty short period of time. So, let's go down here and look at the target, see if changed any. I don't think it did. Right there towards the end, my finger's getting tired. Shot those too high, with the exception of those. Size of a hand. Tell anybody in practical shooting or defensive type shooting, soccer ball size groups is what you're aiming for. That's about a softball size group. So that's plenty accurate enough. Hey, back from the range. Just got through shooting about 250 rounds through the FN 509 Tactical. And I will say overall, it was a good experience. Let's start with the gun itself first. The gun, very accurate. It was as accurate as I could keep it. It shot nice and flat. Part of that is probably because of the comp, but it shot nice and flat. I was able to keep high-speed strings within respectable distances from each other, or respectable groups. The ergonomics of the gun were good. I really like the feel of the gun. I have the small back strap on here because I have smaller hands. But the magazine release, the placement of it, the operation of it was good. The slide stop, I do like this slide stop. I think they were in works with Larry Vickers on this slide stop. It's very, very similar to the Gen 4, Gen 3, Gen 2 and 1 Glock Vickers slide stop. There was one thing that I didn't like about the gun, and it was probably the only thing while I was shooting that I didn't like about the gun. The slide lock, the part of this metal protrusion that comes out, it is what you rotate downward in order to take the gun apart. Well, this thing, after putting about 150 rounds through it at a quick pace, it became so hot that it was dang near unbearable to shoot. When I shoot, I have a thumbs forward grip and my thumb rests right there on top of the slide lock. And it got so hot at one point that I could barely shoot the gun. I was having to hold my thumb up off of the slide lock in order to shoot it. Other than that, as far as shooting the gun, that's the only con that I had. I do not like the texture of the gun. I put these Talon grips on there for a reason, because when I took it out and shot it the first time, I put about 100 rounds through it before this review. I didn't like the texture at all. The Talon grip started to move, and as you can see, it's starting to peel off. I am probably going to take this Talon grip off and just go ahead and stipple it like I always do with my Glocks. I'll put a nice pattern on it and make it look good, but it's got to have some usable traction to it, at least for me. I like a good tight grip on my gun. This granulate pattern that Talon has provides that, but I do not like how it's starting to slide off. I normally don't have problems with that with Talon grips. This one, for some reason, I have. Let's talk about the PMM, the PMM Compensator. Single port, like I said before, did its job. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It has not come loose. It's still on there nice and tight. Under recoil, it kept the muzzle flat. It brought the muzzle right back down to where I wanted it to. Is it as good as the KKM 4-port comp? No, it's not. But a single port comp never will be as good as a 4-port comp. But for what this thing was designed for, it did an excellent job. I really like it. Not as far as function goes, but as far as aesthetics, it looks good. It blends in good with the slide. They put a lot of thought into the way it looks. And if you'll look, it has these fins that come back on either side, and these fins line up with the sides of the slide and make it blend in. It also has a functional part, because these fins won't allow the gun, if this comp becomes loose, it won't allow it to get off of time. I really like the comp. I like it a lot. And for the money you pay for it, it's about the same price as most other comps on the market. I think it's $100. It does an excellent job. As far as the optic on it, it's a tried and true Trijicon RMR. It's a 6.5 MOA. It's my favorite one. Gives me a big dot to go off of. I like a big dot on my optic because I shoot fast. That's mainly what I like to do, is shoot fast. And that big optic, or that big reticle, the dot, Really allows me to pick it up quick and keep it on target. The only con that I have about the gun while shooting it tonight was the heat buildup. It was surprising to me that it built up as much heat as it did. I wasn't expecting that. I'll run anywhere from 200 to 300 rounds at a time through a gun when I'm shooting. Yes, I get heat buildup, but nothing like this one did tonight. This one really built up a lot of heat right on that slide lock. And I was pretty surprised that it did that, but that's just part of the gun, As far as overall cons of the gun, number one con was the trigger. The trigger out of the box was horrible. Like I said, it broke just under 8 pounds. This Apex tactical trigger is amazing. It's if you're on the fence of whether to buy one or not for your 509, just buy it. It's worth every penny. And the grip texture. Those three things on this gun are the three cons. The pros of the guns. Ergonomics. The ergonomics are great. It points well. Recoil control is very good with this gun, even without the comp on it. Ergonomics of the gun are great. I do like the magazine releases. I'm not a big fan of ambi magazine releases where there's one on either side. This one didn't bother me at all while I was shooting tonight. It worked great. It's easy to reach with either your thumb or your trigger finger. It works great. I love the slide stops. Larry Vickers, I believe, helped them design this slide stop. It's a similar design as what he's used on the Glocks. It's slightly larger than what a standard Glock slide stop would be, but it doesn't really protrude. You just have to use it to know what I'm talking about. This is a small touch, but a big touch. The optics mounting system. It did what it said it would do. Now, granted, I've only run about 300 rounds through it, so time will tell, but the optics system, the way they had it, the screws did not back out. They stayed nice and tight. I put a bit on it earlier and tried to tighten them up. They were still just as tight as they were when I put them in. There's not much bad I can say about this gun. If you're on the fence of whether to get one or not, I'd get one. They're worth the money. I got this one for a pretty good deal. I found it online, got a pretty good deal on it. Most of them are going for about $850. I found this one considerably cheaper, and it was brand new. I just lucked across it. I think I got it on gunprodeals.com. But I just looked up and found this one. It was considerably cheaper than that. Anything else I can say about it? FN, man, fix the trigger on this thing. There's no need to have an 8-pound trigger on a premier gun in your lineup. No need at all. And it's an easy fix. Your engineers know how to do it. Just fix the trigger on it. I'm not asking for a sub 4-pound trigger, but give us a good, usable, crisp 5-pound trigger. If this gun had come with a good, crisp, usable 5-pound trigger, I never would have put the Apex trigger in it. I would have left it just like it was. If you are curious about the Pmm comps, they work good. This is a factory guide rod. I did change out the factory spring. This gun comes with 2 springs. It comes with a standard spring, and then it comes with a lightened yellow spring. I did use the yellow spring in it, which is lighter. This is usually used for suppressors and compensators. I don't think I really needed to use it though. So next time I take it out, I'm gonna run it with the factory standard weight spring in it and see how it does. As far as dirt and grime, carbon blowback, I got some, but overall after 300 rounds, it didn't really get that dirty. I'm surprised this Pmm Comp is not really blowing a lot of carbon in. You can see back in here, it blew some, but nothing excessive. My KKM blows way more carbon than that back in there. But this gun is it's a nice gun. It's a nice gun. And if I were to, if you were on the fence of whether to buy one or not, as long as you can look around and find a good deal on one, yeah, I'd snatch one up. I really enjoy it. Like I said, right out of the box, I had to do something about that trigger. I know I keep coming back to it, but it's true, that trigger was terrible right out of the box. I'm sure I could have played around with it, done some stoning in certain areas, polished things up and got it better, but it was terrible. It was awful. This Apex trigger totally takes care of it. Again, you'll look, you got your take up, and watch that crisp break. Just a nice short crisp break. The reset's good on it. This is a nice gun. You look around, you can find them on sale at certain places. If you can get one under $800, you're doing a good job, and I would recommend to snatch it up. As far as a gun that I would carry concealed, maybe. It's got the length of a Glock 17 here. If I had a good inside the waistband holster, I could carry this concealed. It's got a lot going on though. And to tell you the truth, you don't really need it all. You don't need this optic. You don't need the comp. You don't, well, I wouldn't say you don't need the light. I always advocate a light. But it's got a lot going on. And you don't necessarily need everything that's going on with it. But we bought this gun because we like the features of it. And yes, it is a viable option for concealed carry. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm new at this. I'm not a professional. I'm doing this because I think it's fun. I've got a couple of more guns that I'm going to be doing reviews on that are kind of, they're not guns that you see every day. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, but you'll see it when they come out. But I'm going to do those reviews. Like I said, please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Do something. But I appreciate you watching, and y'all have a good evening.